Greetings, hi, TheWarOwl greets you, and welcome to How to Play Counter-Strike Global Offensive. This time we're going to be covering shotguns, what they are, when to use them, and how to use them. You should already be aware of what shotguns are IRLs, but in Counter-Strike, they work differently. They are accessible in the Heavy tab for buying weapons, and function differently than every other weapon in the game, in that they don't just shoot one shot, but rather multiple shots at the same time. Shots in Counter-Strike are not done like real bullets. They are instantaneous and completely straight. Basically, it's like shooting lasers. But at what angle the laser comes out is what varies and why it is difficult to make the shot go where you want. With shotguns, it shoots multiple shots at the same time, and each one of these are registered and treated like a single shot. They just go at different angles and therefore different places. Because of this, shotguns in Counter-Strike are a close-range weapon. The farther off you shoot, the less shots are going to hit the player, making them a very situational weapon, meaning you should only use them at certain economical states in the game, as well as certain positions. Let's go through each of the shotguns and talk about how they vary from each other. The two shotguns you have access to on both T-side and CT side are the Nova and the Autoshotty. The Nova is a weapon that is used fairly often in competitive. It is very cheap at $1,200, accurate at close and medium distances, and a reliable way to kill an opponent, armored or otherwise. The negatives to the weapon are that it fires fairly slowly and it doesn't have bullet penetration. It also does much less damage than some of the other shotguns, meaning that if you're using the Nova, you best be going for headshots, and it is a one-hit headshot up close, as well as a two-hit body shot up close against armor, so it's a very powerful, useful shotgun that you see used normally on CT side, but I've actually seen it used on T side before as well. The Autoshotty is similar to the Nova, except that it fires at a much faster firing rate, and it actually does more damage. It is actually fairly useful at closer distances when trying to quickly destroy an enemy or a group of enemies. And it may be more useful against multiple opponents than the other shotguns in the fact that it fires so quickly. It also does not seem to have a maximum fall-off distance like the Mag 7 and the Sawed-Off. So with such great stats on it, why do we not see it used more often, or pretty much at all in competitive matches? The answer is the cost. In a recent attempt to make the weapon more viable, relative to the date that this video came out, Valve has reduced the price of the weapon to $2,000, making it still the most expensive shotgun, but in a range to be equivalent to the Galil and FAMAS and Scout in terms of force buy weapons. So it's like if your team is buying and you have M4s bought on your team and you want a shotgun for the close range positional advantage, you may purchase this Autoshotty. Normally players currently are purchasing the Mag 7 though. We'll get into the Mag 7 a little bit later. The negatives to this weapon are that it has quite a difficult recoil to control when trying to fire quickly. I mean, it actually doesn't though when you look at it. If you're at really close distances, you can fire this thing pretty accurately, very up close, while still incorporating some movement into your game. It's a useful weapon. I just feel its use is diminished by the existence of more alluring alternatives. Now we move on to the two close-range, high-damage, high-spread shotguns. These things are awesome. The Sawed-Off and the Mag 7. These weapons are somewhat unique to Counter-Strike Global Offensive. They don't really show up in any sense in the previous Counter-Strikes. The Mag 7, much like the Nova, is one that we see very often in competitive level gameplay. The reason being is that it's a one-hit kill weapon. At very close distances, this weapon is a one-hit kill to the head, chest, arms, stomach, and your pinky toe, if all shots hit the player. There is a very low margin for error with this weapon, so it is actually difficult to use, but in the hands of a wary player in the proper position, getting the drop on their opponent, it is incredibly deadly. It does much more damage than the Nova and the Autoshotty, making it a great pick for a weapon that you'll use against armored, equipped opponents around corners. There are a number of quirks. It's a quirky weapon. It's a very likable weapon, and it makes it fairly unique. For one, it is accurate while moving and jumping. This makes it incredibly fun to use. You can jump out from behind a corner, making yourself a difficult target to hit, surprising your foe, and ending them in one well-placed shot. The reason it is used instead of the alternative pistols or rifles around the same price point is the 900 kill reward for frags with it. It cost 1,800. So if you kill 2 players with it, it has already paid for itself. Another quirk with this weapon is that you cannot shoot while reloading with it, because you don't actually feed in individual shells. It's a magazine. Mag 7. See? It's in the name, but rather you put it in a magazine like you would with a rifle. You use it like you would a rifle. Now you can overcome this by quick switching. The benefit of some of the other shotguns is that you can shoot while reloading. You can't do that with the Mag 7. You have to quick switch to sort of kill the reload animation. As soon as you put 1 shell into it with the other shotguns, you can shoot it, like the Nova. The Mag 7 is very neat, it's fun to use, it's a useful weapon that stands out as one of the most interesting new additions to Counter-Strike Global Offensive from the previous Counter-Strike titles. One of the negatives to the weapon is that it has a max range, but it's actually not that much when you look at it, so I don't think that would ever come into play. You're not going to try to use this thing at those ranges. The sawed-off sucks, don't use it. Oh. You want me to elaborate on that one, don't you? The sawed-off is only available for terrorists. It is similar to the Mag 7, except that it has a lower max range, has a higher spread, and it's impossible to use unless you're standing directly next to your opponent in knifing range. And again, available on the T side. Now, it may be useful and used if it was on the CT side. Now, why do I say this? Shotguns make more sense when used on the CT side. They are situational weapons, and the situations and positions where you will use them are on the defending side. Let me show you an example of the best places to use shotguns. You'll see some of the footage of it. Shotguns are best used around corners very close up. So basically where a terrorist will have to turn the corner. And also be very close to the corner, so hallways, so they can't be like further back when they turn the corner. Because it is very difficult to take on multiple opponents, it is also best to have an escape route when you're using this. Meaning after you shoot a shot and more enemies are coming, let's say you need to reload the weapon because they're coming too fast for you to kill them all, or you just shoot and you have that time in between each shot, you need to make sure you can take cover just beyond the original corner that you're at. You need an escape route. There are 2 ways to use them at corners. Peek your opponent when you think he's going near to it, so that you can use that corner as cover and you can wait for the second shot to happen. So you can just strafe out, shoot, strafe back, strafe out, shoot, strafe back. It's a great way to kill people. Or to allow your opponent to turn the corner and ambush them. Personally, I think it is better to peek with shotguns, because you can control the battlefield then. This is different than my beliefs on some of the other weapons. You can always use the second method if you fail at the first, meaning if you peek and shoot and they're still coming, you can then sit at the corner and wait for them to peek and just try to outshoot. It works better at LAN, but yeah. So that's what shotguns are, that's how to use them. I hope this helps you on your journey to improve yourself at Counter-Strike and become a more efficient killing machine. Kindest regards, I am TheWarOwl, and I still have no closer.